some sense of this, Ellie. Thank you for joining me this hour. Let's move now to Washington, another complex issue in the ongoing trade war with Beijing, still playing out on the American president's Twitter feed, as well as the president's attack on Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Donald Trump posting this on Twitter today: "My only question is, who is our bigger enemy, Jay Powell or Chairman Xi?" Senior Washington correspondent Dan Raviv joins me now in D.C. And Dan, I would say quite the remarkable statement from the president, but there have been other remarkable ones. Is there no end in sight to this trade war with China?
Well, today it appears to be a tweet storm that has to do with the Federal Reserve Board, which sets interest rates in this country in an independent way, and also the trade war with China. China today announced that it was slapping 25% tariffs on many products made in the USA. This obviously angered President Trump. And in addition, he's been putting pressure on the Fed to cut interest rates by a lot and do it quickly. Well, the Federal Reserve Chairman, Jerome Powell, he gave a speech today at a big economic conference in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. And the president was disappointed. There was no clear signal that interest rates are going to go down. In fact, Powell made a reference to the trade dispute as being something that's a little bit difficult to handle. There's no book for handling it. The president wrote that he was disappointed. He wrote that tweet that you just mentioned, Ayman, where he was wondering whether Powell or Xi Jinping of China is the greater enemy of this country. But then he went on with China. He wrote, "We don't need China, and frankly would be much better off without them." The vast amounts of money made and stolen by China. Okay, but here's the really big statement, very unusual. "Our great American companies are hereby ordered to immediately start looking for an alternative to China, including bringing your companies home and making your products in the USA." Ordered? Presidents don't have that kind of power. Just a little bit later in another tweet, again, he sounded kind of dictatorial. He wrote he's ordering the shipping companies, including FedEx, Amazon, and the U.S. Postal Service, to search for and reject any shipments containing fentanyl, a highly addictive pain-killing drug sent from China. He said that China's President Xi had promised to stop all the shipments of fentanyl. He pronounces it fentanyl, by the way. But in any event, he says 100,000 Americans per year die because of fentanyl, and the shipments did not stop. So again, angry at Xi. It's quite a day for his rhetoric, at least on Twitter, and he's saying that he might actually make another statement on tariffs and trade today. Ayman?
Well, Dan, let's discuss maybe another issue possibly affecting American politics today, and that's the death of conservative billionaire David Koch at age 79, a towering figure for many, many years in American politics and in the Republican Party.
But rarely speaking out in public. He and his brother had a really big company, Koch Industries. So you're quite right, David has passed away. Now, the Koch brothers, for over a decade, had been wielding their financial power mainly through political contributions, also a lot of philanthropy. They were out to make the Republican Party more conservative, but maybe the right word is libertarian. So it was David and Charles Koch. The death of David's been announced by the elder brother, Charles. He reveals that David Koch was diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer 27 years ago, and doctors thought that he'd only have a few years to live. But according to this statement, with great medications and David's stubbornness, he kept on working at the family firm Koch Industries, and perhaps more as a philanthropist and a campaign contributor. Now, actually, Charles is the more political brother, but before he died, David Koch was focused on health. He left a legacy of huge contributions to hospitals, especially cancer hospitals, and also a theater at Lincoln Center in New York City named for David Koch. One other thing, they apparently did not care for Donald Trump, because in the 2016 presidential campaign, these big Republican finance people contributed nothing to the Trump campaign.
That's another wind of change in American politics. Our senior Washington correspondent, Dan Raviv. Dan, thank you for joining me this hour. And there's more to come on The Rundown. Stay with us.